Hello everybody, my name is CulBlu. I'm bringing out this video of me reviewing a board game, and today I'm going to be doing a review of Citizens of the Spark by Thunderworks Games. This is a game that has been on my shelf for a while, and there's like a slight backstory I'll talk about, because of course I will. But before we do all that, let me get our background music started, because you know I love my background music here, and we'll have that running. And let's switch our camera over to our play area. So Citizens of the Spark is a game that's been sitting on my shelf for a while. And the reason why I'm pointing that out is because I bought this game on a whim. Originally, I was very off-put by the price of the game, because I think it's like a $50 game. And I was like, ugh, $50, man, I don't know. But I could play it solo. So I was like, okay, you know what, it might, hold on, let them cook. So I decided to take the plunge after hearing people say that that the game had cool things about it. I didn't listen to like full reviews about what people liked and didn't like. It was just more of a, this game is swell. I was like, all right, you know what, I'll take your word for it. I trust you. And then I played the game. I was like, oh no, I hated it, but I trusted you. I'm joking. That's not what happened. I sat down and finally played it, and I mostly played it because I wanted to use my poker chips that I have, that I spent all those fancy dollars on. So shout out to the Rubens crew for all these fancy poker chips. Shout out to Heavy Cardboard as well for introducing me to those. But because of those poker chips, I was like, you know what? I want to play this game because I want to use the poker chips on stream. That's legitimately the story behind why I finally decided to play this game. This game's literally been on my shelf for like 6 months. Unplayed. Open, but unplayed. Anywho, now we're getting through all that. That's the backstory I want to tell you all about. Getting into the actual things of the game. This game, overview of the game, is this is a tableau building game where you have your tableau that you're building, and you're trying to draft or recruit cards into your tableau. You're trying to activate abilities. You're trying to score as many victory points or sparks as you possibly can. And the game is over once you make it to the deck. You do one shuffle, and then for the last turn, and then the game's over. And the person who has the most victory points or sparks wins the game at the end. There's also some in-game scoring conditions that can happen. There's a varying amount of player interaction throughout the course of the game. You can have games depending on the sets that you choose. You can have games where there's high player interaction, where you're just doing a bunch and just mess with each other's tableau, or you have games where there's literally nobody touches each other. Everyone's playing their own game. You're only drafting from the middle. You can set up and scale it. Depends on how you want to do it, but I'll talk more about that in my things I like, things I didn't like later. But for now, just know the overview of this game is a tableau builder. You have abilities you're activating, and you're trying to score the most points as you go along. I'm going to talk about this game from the perspective of playing solo, because I've only played solo. I've seen people play multiplayer, and it looks fun, it looks fine, it looks cool, and I'll talk more about that on my review side too. But just know that I'm going to be showing the solo player side of things against the Scintilla, as it's called, or the Automa for the game, and we'll talk about it from there. So going into my typical fashion, I'm going to go through a demo of the game, so setup, demo, and then I'll get into my things that I like, things I didn't like, and then give my rating at the end. So feel free to use the timestamps at the bottom of the video if you're watching this on YouTube to skip ahead. If you're watching this on Twitch live, unfortunately you have to time travel with me at 1 second per second, so we'll get there eventually, I promise. But let's go ahead and get into our setup. So I'm going to be setting up a solo game using the recommended first time playing solo set, which is the high interaction set. And I will point out that there are multiple pre-made sets here, and of course you can always randomize and make your own set. But we're going to use the high interaction set, which is recommended here for 1 to 2 player. The high interaction set, let me zoom in so you can read that. The high interaction set, which is going to have the executioner. So it's going to have the executioner, the mediator, the medic, the outcast, the soldier, the traitor, and then the tyrant. And of course, 1 to 2 player game, we only have these. If you're playing with more players, you're going to add more stuff, but we're playing 1 to 2 because we're doing solo. In addition to that, we have our separate rulebook here for solo play that gives us rule on how to set up the Scintilla. I'll talk about it here, so let's get through that. So the Scintilla, the Automa player is going to have a few different cards as well that are involved. They're going to have these 6 base cards here, which are going to have like the teeth, the shell, and the feather on the back. They're going to have these 6 cards here, these 6 base cards. They have a little cube there. Oh, okay, that's why. I was like, why is my camera? It was zoomed in. They're going to have these little diamonds here on the side, or on the side of the card. And then the rest of the cards are going to be corresponding to which characters are in your play. So for this one, for instance, this executed sentence, this card is bought in because execution's in. This card here for relentless soldiers is bought in because the soldier's in, so on and so forth. So we have 7 extra cards to add to their stack. So we're adding 7 + 6, what is that, 13? So we're going to take those cards here, and shuffle those in with the Automa's cards, and I'll get that a good shuffle here in a second. And then we're also going to take each of our stacks here, each of our different characters that we're going to be playing with in our playthrough. There should be 10 of each, and there are 10 of each, but we're going to shuffle all these together to the best of our ability. I'll do some cool shuffling stuff here. And then that's going to be our starting deck. Additionally, we're going to take the markers here for the teeth, the shell, the teeth, I'm assuming shell, and the feather. We're going to take those and we're going to put those to the side. The rulebook has ways that it suggests you set things up. I'm changing my setup slightly for the purpose of recording. So set it up however you want to set it up, but the rulebook suggests that you do it basically mirrored for what I'm doing. And I'm only doing it this way because it just made it a little bit easier to shoot and record. So that's the explanation for that. So again, I'm shuffling in all of the character cards, and I'm trying to do my best to make sure I get like a nice spread of everything. I'll probably do a sort shuffle here. And again, I need to look up the sort shuffle because I keep saying short shuffle, but I don't know if it's called a sort shuffle, where you like deal out 2 piles or 3 piles, and then you know, 1 card per pile at a time type thing. You know what I'm talking about, hopefully. All right. And all right, so those are all there. So all 70 cards are here. And like I said before, I was going to do a sort shuffle here. This will take a little bit, but we'll get through it. Good. Okay. So there we are. So let's get these all back together. Then we'll cut. Oh, so we'll shuffle a little bit more. Make sure we get a nice mix, and then we'll cut. Okay. All right. So that is my deck. So this is the deck here for the game. Now for setup, we're going to do this in, I think the order matters, but I don't know what the official order is, so I'm just going to do it in the order I think it's supposed to be. I'm going to draw 4 cards and keep 2, and these are going to be added into what's called my city. Wow, Jesus, 3 mediators, okay. This is going to be what's called added into what's called my city. So I'm going to have my city. Now my city is going to have a space for every single type of citizen. We're going to build stacks of similar citizens. So for instance, if I were to claim all 4 of these cards, I'm not going to, but if I were, I would end up forming 2 stacks, 1 stack of 3 mediators and 1 stack of executioners. If I have, I can have an unlimited number of citizens, so I can have all 10 mediators if I really wanted to, but I do not gain any benefit beyond the 3. So just to punch in a little bit here on the camera, if you look at the card here for the mediator, you'll notice that it has text here at the bottom, and it says here gain 3 victory points, so 3 sparks, and then trade question mark flower symbol in your city for question mark flower symbol in the assembly. So I'll explain what all these words mean in a second. But that symbol here is a variable, and what that means is that we're going to consult down here to see how many cards we have in the stack. We have 3, and then we're going to be able to do 3. So we plug in 3 cards for the spiral symbol there. So it says gain 3 victory points, then trade 3 cards in your city for 3 cards in the assembly. And that's how we read that. Now, if I had 5 mediators here, it would still max out at 3. So that is an important thing to keep in mind in notes. So the main thing is that our stacks are going to combine in our city. Our city is our tableau, by the way. And we'll be able to do stuff and interact with the different worlds. So I need to choose to keep 2 of these and then discard 2 of these. So I'm going to choose to keep the executioner and the mediator, and I'll discard these 2 mediators. Now remember, there's only 10. It's only 10 of each. So I know 3 mediators are accounted for if I wanted to count cards. I don't count cards, but you could if you were that ambitious. So have at it. Next, I'm going to give the Scintilla or the Automa, I'm going to give them their cards. So we're going to put the Scintilla's cards on the left-hand side. Again, we're going to put the Scintilla's cards here on the left-hand side. So I'm going to give them 1 card per row. If I draw, in this process, if I draw a duplicate, I'm going to add it to the same stack and keep drawing until I get at least 1 different stack per row, I should say. Not 1 card, but 1 stack. All right, they haven't drawn 3 different cards, so here we are. But if I draw on like a second soldier, that will go here, and I'll keep drawing until I get one group represented in each of these rows. So that's how that flows. Now, now that's done, we're going to fill in the assembly. Oh, actually, I think what's going to happen first. Hold on. Oh, that's on my screen. I think what's going to happen first is we discard 15 and then we fill in our assembly. So I'm going to discard, well, I'm filling the assembly first. Let's do assembly first. Again, I think the order matters. I don't know what the official order is supposed to be. I'm just going to go with what I think makes sense to me. So we're going to fill in the assembly. The assembly is going to be the offer, the place that people will be able to draft or pull from. And it's going to be 3 different columns, or in this case, 3 different rows. And those 3 different rows are going to be 2 cards each, because we're playing a 2-player game. If you're playing a game with more players, you're going to have more cards available in the row, in the per column or row, depending on how you have yours oriented. But because I'm playing solo, there's going to be 6 cards total here in pairs of 2 for these 3 rows. So I'm going to do row 1, and then row 2, and then row 3, like so. And then I'm going to discard 15 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And now we are officially ready to start. I am the start player. I will always be the start player. So when playing solo, so I'll be start player. Oh, I need to get this shuffle. All right, let's make sure this is nice and random. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's gonna be it for there. Now, throughout the course of the game, throughout the course of this demo, I'm gonna be explaining how the automa is gonna flow. But the general idea of the automa is that they're gonna be activating on certain rows. When we flip over a card, so we're gonna flip over a card, activate a row, do some stuff, and there will be some fancy things. Just know the key thing to keep in mind is that there's a conveyor belt system going on over here. So there's gonna be a conveyor system over here. And that'll make more sense when you see it in action, but I'm gonna try to play enough rounds so you can actually see the whole conveyor belt action happen. All right, so we're gonna start here. I got the first turn. First thing I'm gonna do is my turn is gonna happen in 4 different parts here. Part 1 is I'm going to draft, or I'm going to attract citizens. I'm gonna pull citizens from one of these 3 rows. So I can choose to take these 2 citizens. I can choose to take these 2 citizens. I can choose to take these 2 citizens. I am going to choose to take these 2 citizens, a tyrant and a medic. They're gonna be added into my city, or added into my tableau. And notice that I put the tyrant and the medic in different spots because they're clearly not a mediator or executioner. And that's it. So that was my attract citizens. So I basically gained 2 citizens to add to my collection. After that, I now have the option in part 2 of my turn, is I have the option to choose to activate a citizen stack. In this case, I can only activate the 4 that I have in front of me. Now, when I get into activation, I'm gonna punch in here so we can look at this a little bit closer and kind of read the cards a little bit better. We have these 4 cards here visible. So we have the Traitor, Tyrant, Mediator, Executioner, just to look at. Keep in mind that the traitors are not in my city, they're in the assembly, but we'll talk about that later. Just as long as you know that I don't have these, I'm just using this for example to explain stuff. On the cards, you'll have some effects down here. You'll have the name of the card, you'll have some symbols up here, and then you'll have kind of the variables, if there are variables. And just about every card has some kind of variable, so there will be some variable there. This card here for the Traitor is a little bit easier to talk about, so we'll talk about it first. This ability here can be activated if I had the Traitor in my city. I don't, but if I did, we would read the text and do what it says. This one says trade variable for variable in one city, so one opponent city, with fewer resources, which is that symbol, than your city. So in this case, if I had these 2 traitors in my city right now, and I activated my stack of traitors, I would activate only one of these, and this one is still in my city, hypothetically, in this hypothetical example. So I will get to count 1, 2 traitors. So therefore I get to do this twice. So I get to trade 2 of my cards in my city with 2 of the cards in my opponent's city who has fewer economic symbols. And again, this guy is still in my city. They will be leaving my city once I'm done with my turn, but they're still in my city right now. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I can compare that to what my opponent has. So that's how that all counts out. But the active ability here will tell you if they can do something. I'm spending a lot of time talking about that because the Tyrant does not have an active ability. They just chill. They just sit there and do nothing. But they do have a ongoing ability, and that's going to be this little rotating symbol here. So before I perform any action that has a little fire symbol, any attack, then I get 3 victory points. And then at the end of the game, I'll gain victory points based on how many swords I have. So if I have 3 tyrants, then every sword in my city is going to be worth 3 points per sword. If I have 2 tyrants at the end of the game in my city, then I'll have 2 victory points per sword, so on and so forth. So that's how that works. And that's pretty much the two different types of cards, really. I mean, this one is another active ability I can do, but it's not an attack. So the attack ones that you know can be mean and do things to your opponent, those ones had a little fire symbol next to them. So you can play games without those if you want to play a more friendly game. But in this game, the high interaction set, there's a lot of these attack cards. More specifically, the Trader, the Executioner, and Soldier, they're all attack cards, and they're all in this game. All right, so that's how that works. So let's punch back out and let's continue with our turn. I get to choose what to do with my turn, and I think I want to go ahead and kind of hedge my bets a little bit because there's a follow mechanism in this game. So because there's a follow mechanism in this game, and I know, because there's a follow mechanism in this game, and I know that my opponent has a mediator. You know what? Never mind. I was gonna say something that I thought sounded cool, but it's not that cool. I was going to say, because there's a follow mechanic, and because my opponent has a mediator and a trader, and I have a trader and a mediator in my city, there's a chance I'll be able to follow them. But again, the traders are not in my city, they're in the assembly. So that was a silly thing to say. Okay, I'm going to choose to activate the Executioner. So I'm going to activate the Executioner, and this card says each opponent must discard variable, which is one card. Each opponent must discard one card, and then at the end, I had to discard all of my Executioners during cleanup. So I only have one. So in this case, the ability becomes more powerful the more Executioners I have in my city, but I'm going to lose the entire stack anyway once I do this to kind of balance out the meanness of this. So in this case, I'm going to take out one card from my opponent. When you interact with the Automa here, when playing solo, there are special rules here for when dealing with the Automa. The Automa will decide which ones are executed because they have to decide to remove. And they're going to start from top to bottom, removing the number required until they get to whatever number is required. So in this case, I'm activating this. The Automa is going to be forced to discard this from their city. And then that's it. Now that's done, part 3 of our turn activates, which is technically part of part 2, which is any of my opponents can choose to follow, as in they can choose to activate an Executioner as well. The Automa is going to do theirs slightly different. The Automa is going to follow by essentially getting victory points and then discarding one of the cards. We'll hopefully see an example of that here shortly. But just know that for right now, they can't follow because they do not have an Executioner in their city. Again, their city's over here, not over here. This is the assembly. This is different. So their city's over there. They can't follow, so therefore nothing happens. So we skip part 3. We go straight to part 4, which is cleanup. I discard all of my Executioners because that's what the card said. And if my opponent activated any of their Executioners to follow, they would also discard a single Executioner because they don't follow the text. They just discard one single one and get some stuff. It's again, the Automa is special, so just keep in mind the Automa is special. It does something different, but multiplayer works like multiplayer rules work. Okay, so that's all done. My turn is over. Because I activated a fire ability, I forgot about this. I get 3 victory points. So I got my first victory points of the game. Look at those poker chips. Sorry. And I like the size of them too. Anyway, so that's all done. Now that we're at the end, we're gonna do finish cleanup. So I discarded my stuff because my card said so. Any stack that has things left are gonna get 1 spark added to it. And then we're gonna refill in the spot that was taken from the top of the deck. And then we continue. So that's done. Anytime the Automa has any blank spots, they're going to conveyor everything forward. So I should have done that earlier. But anytime they have anything blank, they're going to just move everything, like shuffle everything forward. So they have no gaps going from top to bottom. So that's a key thing to keep in mind as you're playing solo here. Continuing on with the next part. One second. Yeah, that didn't help. Okay, that's fine. Continuing with the next part, we're going to the Automa's turn. So the Automa's going to do their turn. They're going to flip over this top card. And the top card is going to tell us what to do. They're going to do Civic Prestige. So Civic Prestige here says award the scintilla. First, let me back up a little bit. Let me zoom back out. First thing we're going to do is we're going to look at what color it is. It is going to be the pink color. So the Automa is going to take everything here, and they're going to add it to their stacks. So in this case, we're going to go from left to right. So they're going to take this card and add it to the most open blank spot. And then they're going to take the Outcast and add it into the conveyor line. You can see that they're building a whole conveyor belt, like I said before. And they're going to be cycling cards, and that'll make more sense the more we see it. So we'll keep going with our demo. Now, we're going to check this card, and this card says for the pink row, we're going to see how many people they have, and we're going to award them that many victory points. So they have 1 card here in the pink row, so they're going to get 5 victory points. Again, the Automa is not going to activate the card for what it says. They're just going to do whatever this card says. So the Automa is going to earn 5 victory points. I'll put their points down here, and that's it. Now that's done, the Automa is going to discard this card because they've activated this card. They're going to discard the top card from the stack that's there. And I can choose to follow that if I had an Executioner, but I don't. So therefore, that's it. This is going to conveyor up, and that's it. The Automa's turn is done. We're going to fill in these, and then I'm going to draw 2, and I'll play a few more rounds here before we get into the actual things I like, things I didn't like. So let's keep going. So next up for me, I'm going to choose a stack that I want to take here at the top of my turn. So I'm going to track some citizens. I kind of want the traders. Let me think. Ooh, the medic is nice. Okay, yeah, let's do the medic. So I'm going to take, oh, well, actually, those are victory points though. Shoot. All right, no, we're doing it. We're taking the medic and the outcast. So the outcast is another card that doesn't do anything. It's just negative victory points for me as a player. The Automa does not score any negative victory points or positive victory points at the end of the game. They just get points for person in the city. I also get points for every person in the city at the end of the game. But this card here is bad for me, but the Automa does not care about this card, the outcast. It specifically for me, depending on how many I have, I'll lose victory points per one that I have in my city. So I really don't want outcast if I can help it, and the Automa doesn't care. So that makes it worse, triply worse for me. So now that's done, I get to choose to activate a citizen. I'm going to choose to activate, ooh, that's an idea. I'm going to choose to activate the medic. And when I activate the medic, it allows me to place, this is not a red ability, so I don't get those 3 extra victory points, but I get to place 3 cards, because I have 2 of them. I get to place 3 cards from the bottom of the discard into my city. So we get the mediator, and a soldier. Nice. And then we do our cleanup. This goes here. We refill these things. We put some cards over there. Boom, done. And now we're over to the Automa's turn. Automa's gonna flip their card. They're gonna do pink again. So they're gonna do exceptional leadership. So they're gonna take these 2. And they're going to say, award the Scintilla player variable per card in the largest group in Scintilla. So in this case, they're going to, they have 2 cards in the pink set, so they're going to do 2 points per card in their largest group, which is this one, so they're going to gain 4 points. So 4 points for them. All right, they've gotten 4 points. They've received 4 points. Now they're going to activate this again. As a player, I can't follow this because they don't do anything, but the Automa just does this to discard. And in addition, this has been activated. So this is going to go to the end of the conveyor belt line. And then this is going to conveyor up. Look at that, cycling through. Isn't it cool? All right, that was the part that was confusing for me in the rules. I'm glad that I learned it correctly. And then I went and watched a video of somebody playing and they did the same thing. I was like, okay, cool, thank goodness. Because I was kind of confused about how they explained it. Again, I'll talk about that in my review. Moving on, we're gonna add in some more money here. And we got a lot of dollars on these cards. So I wanna take that double trader for sure. Now that I have some outcasts to throw away, we're gonna go for it. So we're going to take this double trader. We get those gorgeous sparks right there. And we're gonna get these 2 traders right there. They're gonna be slightly off screen, but it's fine. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I have 7 to the 9 over here. And now I'm going to activate, ooh, a mediator. Now we're gonna do trader. I'm gonna activate trader. In trader, I have 2 traders. So it's gonna be trade 2 cards in my city for 2 cards in my opponent's city, as long as they have fewer economics symbols than I do. They have no economic symbols, so therefore I get to do it. So we're gonna trade 2, it's an attack, so I do get 3. I do get 3 victory points. And I now have 10. Oh, man, I'm in the lead. Maybe not for long, but I'm in the lead, okay? I'll take it. Demo means I might be able to win the game, huh? Okay, so now we get to trade. So I'm gonna do the outcast for their soldier. And I'm gonna do my medic for their mediator. No, I want their tyrant. Okay, so that's all done. That's my turn. They can't follow. Oh. They can't follow. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Hold on. Yeah, because I traded. So that means that I took their card and added this card over there. That's what happened. Okay, I'm trying to make sure I get the order correct. Let me just make sure I get that correct. Okay, well, if I traded in place, well, no, because I traded in place. So that means that it conveyors, but this one, I took the card that was there and then I gave him Outcast, which went to the bottom because they already had one. Okay, all right. The logics. So now that's done, they can't follow, so this is gonna get discarded. We're gonna refill in, man, it's 5 victory points right there. I really hope they don't go blue. They might. Automa's turn. Ah, they went blue. I saw it coming. From 16 miles away. All right, so they went blue. Fine. They get their 5 stupid sparks. See if I care. Narrator, he cares deeply. Okay. I'm taking the Trader and the Executioner. And again, it goes from left to right. So the Trader first and then the Executioner next in the conveyor order. And they're going to do, they're going to activate this one, and it says award Scintilla variable, which is going to be victory point size, so 0 because I only have 1 card in this row, 0 victory points, and then I have to discard from my city 2 cards, and then Scintilla discards its entire blue stack. So this is their Executioner. So I have to discard 2 cards for my city. I guess I'm discarding my 2 mediators. Not happy about that, but okay, I'll take it. And then they discard their entire stack of mediators, and now we conveyor. Done. And we refill. And I'll do one last turn, and then I'll finally talk about my review part, because as you can see, it just keeps cycling until we get to the end of the game. I'm going to do a soldier turn, because I think I have more, yeah, I do have more swords. So let's do soldiers. So knowing that I'm going to do soldiers, I would like to kind of bolster myself in another way. Man, this is a bad spread. Oh gosh. All right, we'll take these 2. Mediator, Medic, and we are going to soldier. So we're going to activate our soldier. So the soldier says take cards from one city with fewer swords than my city, and then discard all of my soldiers. So I get to take 2 cards from their city because they have 1 sword. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 swords. I do get 3 points for that because of the tyrants. And now that that's done, I'm going to take some cards. I would like to take their Medic and their Trader. Okay, and then I lose all my soldiers. And they cannot follow, so therefore it's fine. And we refill, and with the last turn, we'll see what the Automa does to fight back. And they're gonna flip. They're gonna do pink. They're taking $3 dues. Putting these here and there, and they're activating pink. So award Scintilla 0 victory points. Trade 4 of my cards here with 1s in the assembly. Oh, that sucks. I don't want those. Heck. All right, well, that sucks. All right, well, it's at the end. I don't care. I mean, I care, but I don't care. All right, so we're doing these 2. Let me get the Trader. Then we're going to do these 2. Okay. Guess I'll die. No, okay. All right, so that's going to be it. So we'll go ahead and end our demo there, and we'll go ahead and get into the actual review, talk about things that I like, things I didn't like, and then my rating at the end. Starting off with things that I like on this one. So as far as this game goes, this game is really super ultra straightforward. It is a little bit kind of confusing about how the order things happen, because this game does use the words of like assembly and city and all these other stuff, and it's like, what do those mean? But once you understand what those mean, then the game is like, oh, that's it? Okay, this is just a tableau builder. So I do appreciate the simplicity of the game. I do think that there's a lot of game here along with the different things that you see, because you guys have only seen 7 cards. There are 23 other cards available, 23 other sets available. So let me get the randomizer set out here. So this is the randomizer you can use. And we only play with 7 of these, but there's a warrior that does some stuff. The tyrant, we see trader, soldier. We see there's a scout, scientist, scholar, saboteur, recruiter, rancher, pupil, politician, poet, philosopher, performer, outcast, merchant, mentor, medic, mediator, judge, Guardian, Executioner, Diviner or Diviner, Diplomat, Collector, Champion, Bandit, Agitator, and Advisor. So those are the different ones you can have. And you in a 2-player game, you only play with 7. So there's a lot of different combinations you can have. They do very different things, and it does change the game up a lot. So this game has a lot of variety just built into that, because they give you so many different things. And apparently there's 3 other characters that you can get with the Kickstarter exclusive, which I did not back this game on Kickstarter. So I cannot make any statements about those. And like I said, it's just a very straightforward Tableau builder. You pull your people, you do your ability, people follow you, and then you keep going. So I think this game shines in a simplicity form, much in the same way as something like Furnace, which is a game that I haven't done any playthroughs of because there's no solo mode. But much in a game like Furnace does, where Furnace does you have a bidding phase and then you have a production phase, and that's the entire game. And I think that this game shines when it has kind of that simplicity built in, because you have just those 2 things you do. Just those 3 or 4 things you do, and the game just lets the cards speak. As in, like, why would you do this over that? Well, if I do a trade, like if I take like 3 outcasts and then I do a trade with my trader, I can send those outcasts over to your city. And it also gives you puzzles. Sorry, I'm just trying to show all the cards here. And they also give you like nice dividers and stuff. There's a lot to talk about with the storage solution. I'll say that for a moment. But there's a lot of like different strategies you can do, because like there's no ways to get rid of outcasts. So how do you get rid of the outcasts? Well, you have to trade them over into your opponent's city. And then the Automa fights back. It has a card that says, it has one of its outcast card. It says essentially, I think it's called Cast Out. And what it does, here it is, Cast Out. And it basically says take all of the outcasts that are in the assembly and in Scintilla City and send them to your city. And it's like, why? Why are you doing this to me? Now I got like 8 outcasts in my city. Well, I don't want this. Now I got to figure out how to get rid of them. So I start trading them over. And it just kind of gives you like this interesting puzzle to try to solve every time, depending on the combination of things. Yes, you got negative victory points in cards like Outcast. Yes, you have some nastiness that can happen with some of the cards like Soldiers and Executioners and Traitor. But you don't have to play with those things. So it ends up having like a variable, like a wide breadth that I can cover. You can have a very friendly game where you just kind of build your own tableau, live in your own, like keep to your own city and neighborhood, and you'll have fun. And whoever has the most points wins. Whoever's engine was most efficient wins. And then you got this very, very much take that sided, where you can make this game more take that. You can have a lot more interaction. I'm literally playing the high interaction mode that was recommended here by the pre-built sets right here, but they have low interaction mode. They got first game, short game, convert focused, whatever that means, guild icon focused, strategic, tactical, and you can even just make your own. You can just mix and match your own if you wanted to. And I'm pretty sure on Board Game Geek, people have made their own lists of like sets that they recommend that works really well or synergize really well. And I just love the fact that there's just so many things, because with 30 different characters, without all the fancy Kickstarter exclusives for the extra 3, that's a lot of combinations. I mean, you're using 7 at a time, so I guess, no, still a lot of combinations, using 7 at a time. So you can do a whole bunch to change the game. And I think that that's a huge positive, a huge boom for this game. I also think that it is a thing to be said that this game does not take that long to play. In my little demo here, I made it halfway through the game. There are 70 cards here, let's just count. 20. There's 28 cards left. So there's 28 cards left. We take out 4, 15, 6, 3. Oh man, I said a lot of numbers. I didn't add those up. Wait, let me do. 4 plus 3, 7 plus 3, 10 plus 6, 16 plus 15, 30. So we take out roughly 30-ish cards, whatever that math out to. At the beginning, so 30-ish cards end up being kind of through the deck. So the fact that we're sitting at this many cards out of 70, which means that I guess we're not that far into the game. But it is a game that basically doesn't overstay its welcome, is what I'm trying to say. I was going to make a statement that we're halfway through the game, but that's not true. We're very much not halfway through the game. And it feels like there's enough time to kind of do what you want to do in this game, which is an interesting thing for me to say. Because I've definitely given games, like I've been very critical of games in the past, where it's like I feel like there's too much time to do things. Like one game that I can think of off the top of my head is man, what's the name of this game? Twilight Inscription. Is it called Twilight Inscription? It's called Twilight Inscription. Yeah, Twilight Inscription, I think is what it's called. Or it's the roll and write version of Twilight Imperium, allegedly, or themed version. It's a themed roll and write epic, whatever they call it. And one of the things I have a problem with that game that I never reviewed on my channel because I felt this way very strongly was that there was too much time to do everything. And I feel like in this game, there's enough time to do what you want to do, and there's enough time to kind of solve your puzzle, but I don't think it's too much time to solve your puzzle. I'm not just kind of waiting around for like the game to end. It feels like every single card flip matters. It feels like every single time I make an action or make a decision, whether to pass for my action or whether to go ahead and do a big action to try to take out some of my opponent's stuff or do a thing to try to swap some cards around, it feels like it matters. And it's a very interesting balance for this game to have struck. And I don't know how one gets to that particular stage on things. Sorry, I'm just laughing at the birds outside. There's a lot of birds around the bird feeder just having a good time. Sorry, focusing back on the review. I don't think there's a lot of... I think it's impressive that this game has managed to strike that balance. Because I feel like the game lasts long enough for me to feel like I crunch my teeth and like I have like a really good, cut my teeth and I have like a really good time crunching into the puzzle. I think this game doesn't last too long to where it feels like, okay, I'm clearly gonna lose, so like why are we still here? And I also feel like that there's enough time for you to kind of like get back into the game if you get like feel like you're getting punched in the face, feel like you're getting left out, you can like claw your way back into the game. I feel like the Automa does a phenomenal job of making sure it simulates like a actual player playing, and it's both simple and also quick to go. I have a lot of positives for this game, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm a little sad that I haven't played this game earlier because I'm like, okay, I'm just thinking about people that I have in my board game group or people that I play board games with that I know would absolutely love this game. And I feel bad for having hid this game from them for so long because I just let it sit on my shelf. So shout out to Rubens for making me want to play this game because now I have another favorite game to add to the list. And of course, going to the negatives, because there's always something to talk about, I feel that this negative I'm about to say is no longer valid, which is a negative of, I think the bot ramps too hard. And I say it's no longer valid because without spoiling how my playthrough went last time, in my few playthroughs that I had, I've always ended the game tied or really close. And it's really weird that happens because the Automa has times, like there's a few cards in here where the Automa scores 20 points. Like this one, if the Automa has 3 people stacked up, they score 10 points. If they have, let me see where the 20-point one is. Did we pass it? Yeah, this one. The Civic Prestige, if they have 3 people in a stack, they get 20 points. It's like, oh my gosh, they just got 30 points back to, or 10 points and 20 points back to back. That's 30 whole points. I'm never gonna win this game. And then I get to the victory point count, and it's like, oh, I was only off by like 1 or 2 points. Like I lost by 1 or 2 points, or I won by like 1 or 2 points. Man, it's crazy how it's so close. So I feel like this criticism is not super valid. It feels like the bot ramps mostly because it gets its points in spurts and like goes really hard when it does get its points. But you have to balance that out with the fact that every single time the player does something, if you play it correctly, you can always have 3 extra points here with this set. When you play attacks, just keep attacking or doing attacks and keeping your attack economy alive. And you can just score 3 points every round. And I don't know how many turns you actually play in this game. Also, the Automa's score is clearly close to what the player will score at the end of the game, so it's not ramping too hard. So again, my negative I was about to say is not really a negative because it's like through playing the game a few more times, like no, the bot is not ramping too hard. It's just I wasn't aware of how the game was played yet. So now that I'm a little bit more learned on how to actually play the game, I feel like I can keep up. I feel like I can actually be competitive. And that's something to say because I've only played this game only played a full game of this, 2 full games through. But I've done like some half plays, and if you add all those together, I've played maybe 4 times of this game, and I feel like I've already gotten to the point where I can be competitive with the standard bot. And there's also rules back here in the solo mode, if you're concerned about that. There's rules back here for giving extra points to increase the solo difficulty. So you can ramp up the difficulty if you really want to by giving the bot some extra cards at the start of the game by the looks of it. And you can make it a little bit harder for yourself. So you can adjust, you can tweak it a little bit. And you can even tweak it further by doing a different set. Like doing a different set. Maybe it's just I figured out how to play this one because I've been playing this set for so many times. I've kind of understood the strategy of like I need to just keep triggering my Tyrant to get 3 points every round to keep up, to keep pace. But each different set is going to have a different strategy. And these cards here from the Automa, these are clearly tuned to work in a way that gives the Automa the average number of points that a player might earn over the course of the entire lifetime of a playthrough for every time it shows up. So clearly those are tuned correctly. So like I don't know, like it's again, I start off as a negative, but it turn into a positive. I think this game is very well balanced, is what I'm trying to say. And I don't know how to feel about that. Like, I really want to include in a negative, like, man, this bot is like stomping my face in. But then you get to in-game scoring, and I lost by 1 point, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe I just need to be a little bit more efficient. Maybe it needs to tweak my strategy a little bit more. The Automa's clearly just chugging along, doing his thing. So, anyway, so a whole long time talking about some negatives. Clearly, I have a positive outlook of this game. I think my only other negative of this game is the box is, I don't know. Yeah, I can't think of one. I was trying to make up one. I can't make up one. I like this game. I think it's pretty good. That gets me into my rating. If I had to give this game a rating, I think because of kind of the loop of the game ends up being something that I think is reasonable, but it's not something that I would sit down and play all the time. My rating is hampered by that a little bit. It's not my favorite loop of kind of doing the tableau building, kind of, attacking cards and gain this, gain that, follow. Like, it's cool. It keeps people interactive. It doesn't overstay its welcome, so it's fine enough. But that does impact my rating, so I think an 8 out of 10 is what my rating is going to be for this game overall. And I think that's a fair rating. I can see this if this was like more up my alley, something like a Small Time Heroes, which is basically a Slay the Spire inspired game, and I love Slay the Spire, so I give that game a 9 out of 10. Me giving this one an 8 out of 10 is just me saying I respect what this game is bringing to the table. I think it's a phenomenal game. I think I mentioned earlier that this game was like $50 and it was a little bit hard purchase for me initially because I was like, is it really a lot of game in there? Is there really a lot of variety? Is it $50 worth of game in here? But I do feel there's $50 worth of game in here. I would make the argument if you can find this game for under $50, it's definitely like an immediate pickup, like $40 or under. It's definitely like just buy immediately without thinking about it because of how much they give you in the box. But I think even for $50, MSRP is what I paid for it, or $47, but rounded up roughly when you add taxes in. There's a lot of stuff in here, man. I don't know how else to like emphasize that. There's just a lot of stuff. This game gives you a lot of stuff. Like I kind of want more stuff now, but I feel bad asking for more stuff when there's so much stuff already. And I haven't even explored how some of these characters work. Like, understanding how the Tyrant works is basically how you get victory in this one. Understanding how to use the Trader effectively along with the Outcast is how you kind of figure out how to win this particular scenario effectively. Playing different sets where you change, like, let's say you change the Outcast for something different that has an ability, but it's a negative ability. How does that change the game? Like, there's just a lot of things here to kind of sink your teeth into, and I'm excited to kind of explore to see what these different characters do. The artwork is great. Artwork is on point. I do like this whole like animal citizen art thing, like animal high Valerian, whatever you call it, art. I think it's pretty neat. They got a lot of different representation here for all the animals in the animal kingdom, and I also love the fact. I also love the fact that this game does have a storage system, does have an organization system that I didn't really have to do anything to modify. I don't know if you guys know me, but in my unboxing videos, because I do a lot of unboxings for board games, I love to do my own custom organization system. Like, organizing a board game is just as fun as playing the board game for me sometimes. And when I was unboxing this one, if you go back and watch my video from like 5 or 6 months ago, I was like, oh man, this organization system seems cool, but it's probably garbage. And then like 3 minutes later, I said, oh wait, hold on, this organization system is brilliant. Everything fits. Because I was very doubtful that this could actually fit sleeve cards, but all my cards are sleeved. Every single card is sleeved. It fits in the box perfectly fine. The storage container, because I think they used, well, I don't know who they used, like Game Trays or something, but the storage container for the sparks that do come with the game, I mean, I guess my only complaint is like these are kind of meh. These are mid. The cubes, but they're good enough. They'll do the job. You know, the clear ones are ones. The bigger blue ones are fives. I would have liked a little bit more diversity in size. Like maybe like use like the ascension pieces for ones and the cubes for fives to make it a little bit easier to see across the table. And then you have these cardboard bits down here. But the main thing is like this whole entire tray system, like it works. Like this stacks on top of itself. It also serves as a way to hold the pieces and put them on a table so people can just grab from the tray here. It fits right there. The cardboard bits fit here, so you can put this down here, and also has the esteemed design of being able to like have the little hump there, so when you press down here, it picks up the thing. You have a spot over here, which is, what is the spot for? I don't know what that spot's for, but you have a spot over here for a thing. You have your spot for your smaller cards. They all fit there very well. With sleeved cards, I want to emphasize sleeved cards fit in this. And everything just works and it stays nice and compacted together. I store my board game sideways because apparently that's an insane thing to do, is what people say. But I think it's a reasonable thing to do because it looks cool. It's like having books on a shelf. So, I don't know, get good, y'all. But you can store the game, or I store the game sideways and it doesn't mix up my cards. It's perfectly fine. Like, this is a really good storage system. So that's another plus for the game. Again, negatives do exist for this game. I'm not thinking of one right this moment, mostly because I'm okay with the board game loop. It's not my favorite. I mean, it's a tableau builder. There's a lot of variety, so I can change it up if I wanted to, so I don't get too bored. I guess it is solvable at a certain point. If you play the same set over and over and over again, you just know the beats. You know what you need to do to actually get your victory condition. So I guess that could be a negative, but I'm just hard pressed to find like any like super big negatives. Oh, I take it back. I found a negative. One negative that I had, and this negative is only temporary, is the readability of cards is a little bit weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just my brain. But when I first started reading these cards, I was like, what the heck is this? Gain 3-star, trade spiral thing in your city for spiral thing in assembly. So like it took me a second to like get my brain to wrap around that that's just a placeholder for whatever this is down here. And even then I still struggle with it a little bit. I don't know, it's just something about having to like read this, and this is cards, and then if you read a different card over here, the spiral means victory points per symbol. And if you read a different card, like over here, the spiral symbol means lose victory points for this. I don't know if there's a solution for that. It's just really just I need to like slow down and like plug in the things, like plug and chug and move on. But it's just a little weird to have the variables be defined by the cards. By the time you play the set like once, you'll like by the time you get to the end of the game, you'll know what each card does anyway. So it'll be fine. Like it's not that big of a deal. But that was a little bit of a struggle. Maybe it's the ADHD. Maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know. But it's a negative, I guess. So there you go. For all those wanting a negative, there's a negative. Not that anybody actively looks for negatives, but apparently the more negative you are about the board game, the more truthful and the more trustworthy you are for a board game reviewer. It's like, why can't the game just be good? Anyway, moving on. So yeah, I think it's a great game. 8 out of 10 is what my official rating would be for it. That's going to basically conclude my review here, though. So definitely let me know in the comments what you guys think of this game. I think this game is a great game. I'm excited to introduce it to some of my friends. I'm not even too mad about the cleanup. I mean, it's just like just separate the sets of cards and put them back inside the box. I don't think that's that big of a deal. Normally I would complain about something like that, like especially with Marvel Legendary. I complain about it all the time. But for this game, it's fine. It's all right. It's cool. It's just a part of the game. You know, I'll live. So yeah. So really fun, really entertaining. Oh, I see. These go in that spot. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. All right. I was trying to figure out what went in the spot in the box. Actually, let me just bring them back out. Yeah, these go right there. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, fair. Look at that. Look at that storage system. Boom. Right? Am I right? Okay. All right. So that's gonna be, like I said, it for the video. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it. And as always, I will see you all whenever.